He swore an oath to protect and serve. But for victims in Springfield, Illinois, Officer Taylor Staff was not a protector. He was a predator in uniform. The shocking truth wasn't captured when his body cam was on, but in the disturbing minutes after he turned it off. This is the story of a systemic betrayal, revealed by the women he targeted, who refused to let his uniform silence them. In February 2021, the Illinois State Police, ISP, began an investigation into Officer Staff, a 3-year veteran. The core suspicion: that he was using his authority and his uniform to sexually abuse and exploit vulnerable women during his official duties. Our timeline begins with a chaotic domestic disturbance. The victim's mother called the police. Officer Staff and his colleagues arrive at the house. The atmosphere is tense, the suspect is belligerent, the victim is distressed, and the door is damaged. Notice how Officer Staff approaches the victim's space. This moment, where he enters the hallway knowing she is unclothed, is where the first red flag, according to the victim, was raised. Staff offers her calm reassurance, always out of your hair for the night. This calm, gentle tone contrasts sharply with the chaos and is, retrospectively, part of his calculated grooming.
Hands behind your back now. Let go, I didn't do anything. Stop moving, you are under arrest.
Moments later, a knock. The victim and her mother are shocked, thinking the suspect has been released. But it's Officer Staff, alone, returning to the house. The victim testifies that he instantly shut his body camera off upon her returning outside. This is a critical moment. In the victim's words, that instantly popped a flag in my brain. His conversation is chillingly direct. You are very hot. I definitely got turned on by you getting out of the tub. And the ultimate breach of trust. I just could not come back and ask you if you would ever be interested in going on a date with me. A violation of every professional boundary imaginable. If you saw a police officer return to a crime scene like this, knowing the context, would you immediately report it, or would the fear of authority stop you? Just 1 month earlier, staff responded to another domestic violence call in a trailer park. The victim is clearly injured, in tears, and visibly vulnerable after an assault that left blood on her mouth. Staff uses his authority to remove the threat, gaining the trust of the victim. According to this victim, shortly after the suspect was taken to jail, Officer Staff returned to the trailer. He walked inside uninvited and entered her bedroom. With his body camera switched off, Staff violated the victim by putting his hand up her shirt and squeezing her breast. He then left. The violation didn't stop there. Soon after, he began texting her, having obtained her phone number while on duty, demanding nude photographs. She never reported the incident, believing, like the first victim, that no one would believe her word over somebody who is authority. The investigation reveals a pattern of abuse of power that started subtly. Another woman reported staff approached her in a parking lot, claiming she was a witness to a burglary. He quickly asked for her number. Staff sent her kind of flirty stuff, asking about her boyfriend. The victim felt intimidated and pressured, afraid to say no to a uniformed officer. I didn't think to say no. This demonstrates Staff's method of using his authority to bypass consent and normal social boundaries. The timeline brings us to the most disturbing incident. Staff responded to a domestic call where the female victim was highly intoxicated and deaf, making communication extremely difficult. The jail refused to book her due to her condition, intoxication. Staff drove her home. He walked her to her bedroom, turned off and removed his body camera, and began taking off his clothes. He told her he got her out of jail. Which is the most disturbing act of misconduct in this pattern? The immediate return to the first victim, or the exploitation of the deaf victim?
Stay with me, we're almost there. Clear the path, coming through. Watch the debris on the stairs.
This is the earliest recorded incident, involving multiple intoxicated women trespassing in a factory. During the long walk through the dark factory, the woman walking with another officer steps on a nail. This chaotic interruption momentarily distracts the officers. As the two fall behind, one of the women asks staff if he is married. Her breast is briefly exposed to the camera. Investigative notes confirm staff then extends his hand in the woman's direction, and then, the body camera is turned off for 6 minutes. This 6-minute blackout is the heart of the prosecution's case. The victim later testified that during this time, officer staff put his hand down her pants and inside her underwear. When the women arrive at the police cruiser, the victim who was with staff begins yelling, distraught and intoxicated, "You were just literally all over me. This is police brutality." The other officers dismiss the accusation, stating, "You're drunk. You can't see." But another officer later recalled the victim saying something far more direct, "If I showed you my genitals, I'd go home, not to jail." This confirms that sexual demands were being made in exchange for freedom. It took multiple victims, multiple blackouts, and the testimony of his own colleagues to expose Taylor staff. One officer admitted, "I would not say it's completely out of character. I didn't like working with him." Another noted the overwhelming coincidences and multiple complaints against one person. The shoe finally fit.
Get down now! Hands up, show me your hands.
It took multiple victims, multiple blackouts, and the testimony of his own colleagues to expose Taylor staff. One officer admitted, "I would not say it's completely out of character. I didn't like working with him." Another noted the overwhelming coincidences and multiple complaints against one person. The shoe finally fit. On February 24, 2021, the Illinois State Police arrested Officer Taylor staff at his home. He was held on a $250,000 bond, faced with overwhelming evidence, including the bodycam blackouts, phone records, and multiple victim testimonies. Staff pleaded guilty to 5 charges, including aggravated criminal sexual abuse and custodial sexual misconduct. Taylor staff was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison and required to register as a lifetime sex offender. His career in law enforcement is permanently ended. The true cost of this crime lies not just in his sentence, but in the permanent damage done to the victims and the trust in the badge. These women, vulnerable and intoxicated, faced a choice: risk the truth against the word of an armed authority figure, or suffer in silence. They chose the truth. The victims feared no one would believe them over an officer's word. What steps should police departments immediately implement when a body camera is manually turned off by an officer on duty, particularly at a crime scene? You dedicated an hour of your time to witness this profound injustice and the courage of these survivors. You stayed with this painful story because you demand accountability and believe that the truth about institutional abuse must be shouted. But less than 15% of you who watch these in-depth reports are subscribed. If you truly believe that the victims' voices deserve to be amplified, and that our efforts to scrutinize power should continue, you must subscribe. Don't let this difficult truth fade away. Hit that subscribe button now. It's the single action you can take to empower us to keep the spotlight on the corruption that hides behind the badge. Subscribe and help us ensure justice is served, even when the cameras are off.